Hello, how are you today? What about your English exercises about English tense? I think, I hope you have no problems in order to solve them. Today we are going to explain conditional sentences. In English, there are different types of conditional sentences, but they are quite similar to a Spanish conditional sentence. The most important connector in conditional sentence in English is if. Like Spanish, sí. In a conditional sentence, we have a main clause and a subordinate clause. The main clause without if and the subordinate with the if conjunction. There exist 4 types of conditional sentence. The first type is called zero conditional. Okay, in this case, we have present in the if clause and present again in the main clause. For example, if I hit ice, it smells. Here we have the present and here again the present. This kind of conditional sentence refers to universal truth. It's always truth. This kind of condition, the heat is ice when it is, the ice is heat. When it is heat, it changes into water. Always true. Universal truth. This is. This is a very common conditional sentence in English. The second type is called conditional sentence, real conditional sentence. In this case, we have present in the if clause and future in the other clause. Future is will, as we can remember, will plus infinitive. Will plus infinitive. For example, if you study, you will pass the exam. If you study present, you will pass future. You will pass the exam. It's a real conditional sentence. If we have this situation, if you study, the exam will be passed. Okay? It's always happen if you do what you should do. Instead of will, we can put a modal verb, for example, can, or we can put the form be going to, or an imperative. For example, if, for example, I'm going to put another thing different. Don't do that. Imperative. Don't do that if you want to pass the exam, for example. Here we have imperative in this side of the sentence. This is an imperative. And here again we have a present, want to, present. Instead of will, we can put imperative. Or instead of will, we can say if you study, you can pass the exam. Or we can say, if you want, I am going to help you. If you want, we have a present. I'm going to help you should be a future. These are different combinations in the same type of conditional sentence. The first type, therefore, zero conditional. The second type, real conditional sentence with present plus future. The most important characteristic is that in the if clause, we always have a present, and in the other clause, we have a future, or we can have come, or be going to, or an imperative. If is the most important connector in conditional sentence, but we have another connector which is unless. Unless conveys a negative meaning. For example, unless you work, you here won't get the money. Here it's another example of conditional sentence. This is again a first type, but it could be a second, third type, it doesn't matter. With another connector, a different connector, instead of is, unless. Unless is like in Spanish, a no ser que. It means the same. If means si, if you study, si tú estudias, and unless, if you don't study, si tú no estudias. It should be like a negative sentence, unless. These are the most important connectors in conditional sentence, if and unless. And here we have two types of conditional sentence. Okay, I think it should be quite clear. Okay, we have seen zero conditional sentence. I call it first type. Second type, the real conditional sentence. And now we are going to go with the third type of conditional sentence, with the third and with the fourth. Most people say first, second, and third, and zero conditional sentence. The first type is called zero, the second first, but I call them third and fourth. The third type of conditional sentence should be hypothetical conditional sentence. Hypothetical. It means that may happen or not. The tenses, the common tenses are past in the if clause and conditional in the main clause. This is called conditional. Okay? Past in the if clause and conditional. Conditional is good plus infinitive in the second clause. For example, the same sentence if you studied, you would pass. Okay, if you study, this is the past, and here, this is the conditional. If you study, you would pass the exam. We don't know if you study or not. It's hypothetical, a probability. Maybe, may not be. These are called hypothetical conditional sentences. They may happen or not. We are not completely sure. And the last type, they are unreal conditional sentence. They never happen in this case, never. Common tenses are past perfect in the if clause plus conditional perfect. Okay. It should be would, have, plus participle. The same sentence. If you had studied, you would have passed the exam. In this case, we have had studied, past perfect, and would have passed the exam, perfect conditional. These are unreal conditional sentences. They never happen. You didn't study and you failed the exam. In this case, you failed, okay? Here, we don't know. And in the other case, in the other type, the previous type I explained, you passed the exam because you study. These are hypothetical and unreal conditional sentences. Never happen. These are the most important characteristics of conditional sentence in English. They are quite easy because the translation is identical to Spanish language. There are no changes. We only have to learn by heart the tenses we use in each case. There exist more combinations, more connectors, but this is the most simple or the simplest explanation in this case. Okay? Right. I forgot to tell you something about the second type of conditional sentence. If we say, si yo fuera tú, iría a cualquier lugar. This conditional sentence in English is always, and it is a very common mistake, if I were you, I do it, for example. This is a conditional sentence. Normally, we should put here if I was. But in conditional sentence, we never put was. We always use were. It's a very common mistake. In conditional sentence, always were. And this is the type of conditional sentence, the hypothetical past here, and it's a contraction. It is the contraction of would, the contracted form. You should remember that we never say if I was, always if I were. Well, finally, I'm going to explain something about wish. Wish. Wish means in English, in Spanish, sorry, ojalá. For example, if we want to say, ojalá fuera rico, we say in English, I wish I were rich. Ojalá pudiera nadar. I wish I could swim. In these cases, all of them are desires. Desires in the present. They are related to the present. But we use a past tense. The modal is in the past again, a past tense. In English, we use here a past, while in Spanish, we use a subjunctive. As in English we don't have subjunctives, we need to use past tenses. Right? But we can use wish when we refer to past. When we refer to past, we say, I wish I had won the lottery. Okay, in this case, we use a past form, a past perfect, to refer to a desire in the past. It happens the same. In Spanish, it is a subjunctive mood, but in English, the mood doesn't exist, and we use an equivalent of the past. Wish is studied together with if and if only, because wish is another type of sentence in which we can express desire and sometimes disgust. For example, I wish you would be quiet. This is another way of using wish. In this case, we use this expression good, not in the meaning of conditional, but in order to express irritation. It's like, for example, in Spanish, ojalá te callaras de una vez. I wish you would be quiet, okay? O estuvieras quieto, be quiet. This is different uses to express desire that usually are studied together with conditional sentence. Conditional sentences are easy. There exists a great number of exceptions, but unchanged tenses and the use of modal verbs that are inserted in many conditional sentences. But they are easily understood by students because they are very similar to a Spanish one. Okay, well, we have finished more or less with the explanation, and I would like you listen to this song, Millions Reasons, a song sung by Lady Gaga. It's a beautiful song, I think, and there you can find out the lyrics. When you listen, you can read the lyrics at the same time, and you can underline all the conditional sentences that you can find in this song. Later, you can classify this sentence according to the type, if they refer to real conditional sentence, hypothetical conditional sentence, or unreal conditional sentence. The idea is that you should be able to recognize conditional structures and understand them properly, okay? I hope you have enjoyed this lesson, and I would like to help you to solve all the problems you can have. Okay, see you. Bye-bye.